And Casey King also says, I love seeing new teams like the Suns and Hawks in the conference finals. And again, Case, and, and John and Isaiah, I don't say a whole lot on these programs. I really don't speak my mind a lot on these programs, but I really have to this time around here because I was absolutely appalled at the utter disrespect given by Molly Curum, Stephen A. Smith, Max Kellerman on First Take on Wednesday morning, John, for how they just blatantly disrespected the wonderful cities of Phoenix, Arizona, and Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It was so out of control, John, that literally the Bucks, I believe the Bucks team president and the president of Pfizer Forum released a lengthy letter on Instagram, basically, inviting them out to the city, but also, backing up with, hey, more people are moving to this part of the country and we have this, we have that. And John, I think this has been a very unfair narrative that has been painted on certain sports cities or cities in general that probably get, for example, the bad rap because, you only have one team or you have this team or, your team is known as being, notorious for losing and stuff like that. But, I really have to say this, though, is why do we have to paint this narrative at some of these cities, though? Like, for example, like San Diego, they're not allowed to celebrate their team being great for the first time since JFK was in office, or in Phoenix's case, or in Milwaukee's case, or even in Isaiah's case up in Oakland, where literally you have seen teams leave. You have seen teams relocate. You have seen fans obviously not come to games and things like that. But why all of a sudden when these teams do get good, like the Padres, like the Bucks, like the Suns, you not only disrespect the teams. I can get the disrespect. I can totally get the disrespect maybe to the teams, like picking against them or saying I don't think that they're going to win though. But you don't alienate an entire city, an entire metropolitan area for being a bad sports town because now all of a sudden that people are coming back to Padre games or going to see the Suns play. What else do we have to do here? What else do we have to do to be able to earn respect? And I know, of course, that ESPN is always talking about, the Yankees or the Celtics or the Lakers. And that's why I think, though, guys, that this NBA postseason has been probably the best one to watch in recent memory in my mind. And why I think that viewership is going to go up this year, because you have fresh blood. As I said, though, guys, about 10 minutes ago, you literally have 4 teams vying for their first title. 2 teams either vying for the first one ever in franchise history or the first one since 1971 or 1951. But why is there this, I think, stupid, utterly ignorant narrative that when teams like Milwaukee, teams like San Diego or Phoenix, when the teams are finally good after years of, putting their fans through the meat grinder of losing seasons and ownership changes and firing coaches and managers or losing organizations because, city politics and the teams can't agree on something about a stadium. Why is it that we can't celebrate our teams finally doing something right? Why is there always, this narrative of, act like you've been there before or, hey, be quiet. You won a game, big deal. Act like you've been there before. Why can't Milwaukee? Why can't Phoenix? Why can't San Diego? Why can't these 3 markets in my mind actually have some city pride? Again, the San Diego's not won a championship, baseball, basketball, football, hockey, stuff like that, since John F. Kennedy was president when the Chargers beat Boston in the 63 championship game in the AFL. The Suns, Phoenix hasn't won anything since the D-backs in 2001. Of course, the Mercury have won 3 WNBA titles. The Rattlers have won 5 or 6 AFL championships. The Bucks are the only team who's won anything in Milwaukee since 71. The Brewers have been close. The Padres have been close. The Suns have been close. But, bigger and better ball clubs. But, John, I was very appalled and very taken back. And this has actually been brewing, this has been brewing with me for the latter part of a year of seeing the disrespect shown mainly towards the Padres last season because of the antics and how they played the game. And mainly from Dodger fans, sadly, and from other sports fans and things like that. And I don't want to single out, our Dodger, friends and, friends out there who are watching the program. But John and Isaiah, I just don't get why all of a sudden that when, long-suffering sports fans like San Diego or Cleveland, Milwaukee or Phoenix, when their teams are finally great and you've been sticking by this franchise or by your teams for your whole life and you've been, used to losing season after losing season, ownership changes, maybe your teams move out because of, of whatever they believe in, or that they can't get a stadium done, is why do these so-called experts, whose viewership is going down by the wayside every passing day, feel the need to, to just absolutely, kick a town like Milwaukee or kick a town like Phoenix right in the gut because now all of a sudden we're great or we're good, but don't celebrate. You're not allowed to. You're not LA. You're not New York. You're not Chicago. You're not Miami. You're not Houston. You're not Dallas. You're not Seattle. Don't even bother. Just be quiet, enjoy the time, and don't say a word, and don't go crazy if your team wins the championship. So John, I don't get it. I thought it was great that the Bucks clapped back at ESPN and to Molly Kieram and to all the cast and crew First Take, but I just don't get the disrespect shown, to the Bucks fan base, the Suns fan base, the Padre fan base, because now all of a sudden we're great, but it's like, oh hey, keep your mouth shut, don't say a word. John, what do you have to say about this?
I have a similar kind of ring here. ESPN, Molly, Stephen A. Smith, and Master Kellerman should all be ashamed. We already know Molly is one of the terrible hosts because she always interrupts Stephen A. Smith or Max Kellerman. That's just the bottom line, the worst host in sports history. Again, JD Tapp does a phenomenal job, Fox Sports. But here's the thing. This is why I get frustrated. Well, not with all media people. Again, there's great, like, people I'm great friends, like Brian Friendly, they do a phenomenal job. But like certain people that have this ridiculous bias. Oh, if you're not this team, you can't celebrate. Casey, I have to address this comment here. I think Callan saw this too. ESPN media, for the most part, are a bunch of idiots. There's a few that I know they're great, but a lot of them, again, the ones that I know, they're do a phenomenal job. I agree. Here's the thing, Christy. Before I know we're going off a tangent here, but I think Callan, this is really important that people really need to understand. I haven't watched First Take in years since Skip Bayless left. Regardless of how you think Skip Bayless is crazy with his takes, yes, I know. But at least he believes in what he says. And that between him and Stephen A. Smith and back with Kerry Chapin back in the day, that was prime First Take. The point is, going back to this, is just that I don't understand the pure disrespect. It's like when one team, it's like, if LeBron, if KD, or if anybody else start celebrating, we don't have a problem. This is why, Callan, and I was reading Fantasy, is that I have a problem with a lot of media people. And this is why I would rather be independent than work at ESPN or certain companies, just because I can't stand to be a hypocrite. Of course, like Stephen Smith, Mexican. So it's okay not to celebrate. It doesn't matter. Even if I hate the Chiefs, even if I hate the Chargers, which I do because I'm a Broncos, even if I hate the Raiders or hate the whatever team, you won a game. It's been a long time since you won anything. Every team has the right to celebrate. Every team has the right to celebrate, even if it's a touchdown, a game-winning field goal, a chance to compete for a championship. WNBA, NBA, NFL, any baseball, any soccer or whatever other sport, indoor football, I don't care. You have a right to celebrate. How can y'all at ESPN, Molly? Again, I've never liked she. I don't know how Jalen Rose puts up with her at all. She interrupts him every single time. But back to that is, I don't understand how you think, it's these teams, we don't like them, so that they don't have a right to celebrate. This is why I can't ever be biased, except for, of course, one topic. I don't understand. Who cares if you're a small team? It's great to see a small team compete for a championship. Even though I love my Cavs no matter what, and they may potentially disown them if they make a certain move. The notion is that if you're like, this is why I don't like the media, a lot of them, because if you're not, it's just three teams. They count Lakers, Celtics, and maybe one other team. If you're not three of those teams, you can't celebrate. How does that make any sense? That's like back in the day when we were in school. There's always teachers. I had those teachers too, Cal, who had their favorite students. It was either 2 or 3 of them. That's what it's like with the media members, with the Lakers, with the Celtics, and these other teams. I just don't understand the pure, utter disrespect, and that's just being nice about it. How it's the Hawks or it's the Bucks. Yes, I don't like the Bucks. I think Giannis is overrated. But they have a right to celebrate. Like, what do you have or to gain, Molly or Steven or Max or ESPN as a whole, to criticize a team for celebrating? Are you like, you're basically the Grinch of sports? That's basically what you're doing.
John, it's not just the disrespect shown towards, the team. It's the fact they threw the entire city, these large metro areas like Phoenix, the state capital of Arizona, and they threw Milwaukee, the biggest town known for, for beer. They're throwing not just the teams, but the entire city and the hardworking people of those two towns under the bus. That's what more so irritates me than anything else.
The middle finger to the fans, the people, the workers, the parents of the players, everybody. Cal basically completely addressed that point. Like, how do you disrespect a team? I understand, I hope the Chiefs go 0-17 every single year. But if they earn that win against my team or a team in the playoffs, yeah, I'm going to be, I'm happy for you won. You deserve to celebrate. So if you want to be a bunch of flippant Higgins right now, again, not everybody ESPN and Fox Sports, we're just talking about Stephen A. Smith, Max, and Molly. How can you just disrespect? It's like you don't have any feelings. Because it's like you don't care who you hurt. This is, I understand, you say, it's just sports. Oh, we're just disrespecting a team. Yada. No. Like Cal said, it's a city, it's a team, it's the people, the fans, the people make that city. The fans of the people make that team. The fans are the people that go up to the games now. At whatever capacity it is for each city, for each team. Can we talk about hard work? We've all worked very hard for something, and we celebrate. Imagine somebody pooping on that for you, Callan, or for Isaiah, or for myself, or Steven, or Shooter, anybody else. How do we look at that? And this is the problem. This is why I get also frustrated with the media. Yeah, Milwaukee, they also addressed that, but after that day or two, who else is talking about it? And that's the problem I have with a lot of certain media people, is that, it's off for a day or two, and then it's off to the next topic. This is not just a thing, you hurt my feelings, I'll move on. This is not like a Kevin Durant bashing off against Michael Rappaport or somebody else on Twitter. You insult the people. Well, first of all, when you insult the team, you insult the faculty members, you insult the city, their kids, the workers that make this team run. It's not just a team on the court. It's just multiple facets of an organization, multiple facets with a company, make a company run, make an organization run, make a team run as a team, and how to facilitate. It just blows my mind, Callan, how, to them, this is no big deal. Because look at this, Stephen A. Smith, let's put us all three of us here, or if Isaiah's in the background. Imagine if this was Green Bay or the Steelers. They would have a whole hissy fit. But since it's teams that they don't like, it's okay. And I don't know if you heard what I was just saying. It's like, imagine we all talk about hard work. Counseling accomplished really big. Again, he has his career and he worked so hard, he finally get that. Somebody crapped on him. How would you feel? If you go to Isaiah, I say you finally get that job in the industry and somebody craps on it. Or for myself or somebody else. And I don't know if you heard this, and I'll go back to counting. Sorry, this just makes me so mad that we went back to school in high school. There was that one or two teachers that had that favorite student or two. I know, I had a teacher like that in 10th grade. They favored some of the people on the cheerleading and football team. They have their favorites. That's just one of those teachers. Just like the parent who won't admit it on the TV show, but they have their favorites. That's what we're doing. We talk about the biased media. And we don't understand. Well, folks, this is the perfect example. This is the perfect notion here. I just boils my blood hotter than the Arizona sun, how they think this is okay. You can crap out my Broncos all day. I can handle that. But this is one I say it's bigger than sports, Cal. It's not just about the team. It's the people that clean the seats. It's the people in the seat that come to the games, especially during the pandemic or whatever the capacity is for whatever city. It boils my blood. But this final part I'll say here, I know it's been a long rant for Cal and I. ESPN, or specifically just Molly, Stephen A. Smith, Max Kellerman, you should be ashamed. Because if you hear us disrespecting Aaron Rodgers, a bad man, or the Steelers, or another team, it's okay. But if Tom Brady or somebody else celebrates, it's okay. So all I got to ask y'all, certain people in the media, when is it okay to celebrate? That's it.
Isaiah, you know very well, you and I both know, Ryan knows, we are small market cities, San Diego, Oakland, Cleveland, of course, and things like that. And maybe for once in my 27 years of living on this earth, my hometown Padres have maybe finally turned a corner after, years of 100 lost seasons and changing uniforms every 5 years, like as often as I change my socks in the morning or change my shorts. And that they finally get, good like it was last season. But all these armchair media members or ESPN or the national news is saying, oh, hey, San Diego, great story. Just shut up. No one cares about San Diego. It's all about the Dodgers. It's all about the Yankees and the Astros and, and teams like that. Or in this case, again, Isaiah, like I said, though, it's one thing that you can, obviously say, I'm not going to pick Milwaukee or pick, I'm picking, or it's one thing to do that. But you cross a line when you just totally insult and act extremely arrogant and ignorant and throw two entire cities, two entire metropolitan areas in Phoenix and in Milwaukee right under the bus because they're playing, big bad LA or they're playing Atlanta. I know that they've had a very, similar tortured history, with sports franchises down in Atlanta, but still it's a major market, for the Braves and for the Falcons. And, they're one of the very few cities who has a team minus the NHL in every North American sports league. And again, Isaiah, I know that, of course, that, that we needle you because, about you always talking about the A's, though. But again, small market cities, though, man, deserve the right to feel good about their teams. I know, of course, it's been, torture up in Oakland because with the Warriors leaving for San Francisco, the Raiders going to Las Vegas. And of course, the A's are kind of, up in the air right now because of the Coliseum issues and the ballpark project. And maybe they go to Vegas and join the Raiders and the Golden Knights and the Aces and stuff like that, though. But again, Isaiah, I don't get this narrative, from the national media, certain local media markets, armchair media members who say, hey, great Oakland, hey, great San Diego, you're having a great year. Just be quiet. No one cares about how great the Padres or Rays are doing. Or, hey, Milwaukee, hey, Phoenix, you're a great city. But no one literally cares. It's all about it's all about LA and all about Atlanta. Isaiah, I think I've said my piece plenty of times, though, but obviously, you being a fellow small market, sports fan up in the Bay Area, what was your thoughts more so about hearing that come out, though? And, did that kind of in a way, though, like strike a chord with you? Like, if you're going to disrespect Phoenix and Milwaukee, what about Oakland? What about San Diego? What about your thoughts, though, about hearing, that very, very appalling take made by ESPN on Wednesday morning?
Well, Cal and John, it just made me appreciate our MI6 Sports Network even more. When Adam Barber first came on our MI6 Sports Network and he asked me just to tell him about our network, the one thing I told him about our network that makes us different from the ESPNs of the world, the Fox Sports of the world, the CBS Sports of the world is that we're not always just going to talk about, the Lakers, the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Patriots, and all these big market teams, like some of these big time media outlets do. Like they always just constantly talk about these, the Dodgers and the Yankees when it comes to baseball, the Lakers, the Celtics when it comes to basketball, and then football, it's the Patriots, the Chiefs sometimes, and the Dallas Cowboys. I told Adam, I was like, we're not going to do that. What separates us is that we talk about a lot of these small market teams like the Cleveland Cavaliers, like we're doing tonight, or the Phoenix Suns, like we talk about a lot, or, the A's or San Diego or some of these small market teams. We give them the attention that they deserve. Heck, we even talked about the Detroit Pistons one time on our show. And, that's what really makes us unique, and it just gives me more of an appreciation for our network, because I like you, Callan, like you, John, I was truly appalled by what Stephen A. Smith, Max Kellerman, and Molly Karam had to say, and throwing these cities under the bus. It really is just so frustrating, because I expect it from them now, because I've watched, these big time media outlets and their shows a lot. So I wasn't surprised that they said what they said, because they don't care about, these small market cities. Heck, I was watching the A's Yankees game on TBS last week, and if you hadn't known that it was from TBS, you would have thought you were watching it from the Yankees network, because they were literally talking about the New York Yankees literally every single time one of the commentators opened their mouth. They might have said, the only time they probably said the A's was probably when they opened the game, the intro, and when they talked about the A's starting lineup. That was it. So it's just so disrespectful. It's so frustrating. I feel so bad for some of these small market cities, and also the players like Devin Booker, Trae Young, some of these players that are superstars in these small markets that just don't get the shine that they deserve, because they are in the small markets and many people don't know about them. So it's sad, it's frustrating, it's appalling, it's disappointing. But I expect it from ESPN and Fox now, because I've watched a ton of their stuff the last couple of years.
John, like I've said, though, and I don't want to go too much further in depth, but this has been a very productive segment, though, to let all of us air out our grievances here, though, is that, again, I get the fact that you can say I'm not going to, pick Milwaukee or the Suns to win, though, but you don't throw the entire city under the bus. I mean, you don't disrespect the hardworking people of San Diego, the blue-collar town that is Milwaukee, or the Valley of the Sun. I mean, it's one thing to pick against those organizations, but you don't throw working-class individuals like me, like yourself, like Isaiah, like Shree, like Ryan. You don't throw people, that just, enjoy the fact that their teams are doing great. You don't throw all of us and the whole population of that city under the bus. That's what more so I think is really infuriated me over the past 24 hours.
Definitely couldn't agree more. And it just makes me wonder. And I want to talk about this on the Padres point here, is that when we talk about sports, we love the antics. We praise Baker. Again, I'm a Baker fan, so I'm not criticizing him at all. But we talk about Baker, people not necessarily having an issue with Baker Mayfield at all. Nobody else had a problem at all. Sports is supposed to bring people together, having fun. This isn't taking a STAR test back in the day. We had to sit there, shut up, don't fart, don't burp, don't pee your pants, don't do anything. This is sports. It's supposed to be fun. When you get a home run, when you get a single, triple, double, and a clutch, a game-winning driver, a game-winning inning, or whatever the point is. I just don't understand. Sports is supposed to be fun. Kind of like you do, you work in the industry, you've seen a lot of exciting moments. And the automatic reaction, and should be, let's celebrate. Let's make this fun. Because when you celebrate with your team, you create that continued brotherhood and the chemistry. And you don't have that. You have what the Cowboys had last season. And I say this a lot because it's very important. If you have the chemistry, if you celebrate it, regardless if you won the championship or went 4-12, look what happened. That's just not just an example in the NFL, MLB, WNBA, every single sport. That is fun to celebrate. Why would anybody criticize a team for celebrating, regardless if they've won anything ever, and they finally have an opportunity to win? San Diego Padres, I salute y'all for celebrating. I don't have a baseball team. I don't know who to pick, but I still do, without a doubt, for wanting to celebrate. I mean, my gosh, when you're that miserable, it's like getting out of that relationship with that girl where she maybe you tried it, but she's annoying, she's abused. You get out of that into a good relationship, someone that actually cares about you, and you're celebrating, you're having fun, just like the Padres are doing. What is wrong with having fun in sports? What is wrong with celebrating? I don't understand, because if I go any louder here, I'm going to throw my computer. It just frustrates me how no team can have fun, because we praise Baker, we praise Rodgers, we praise Wilson, we praise LeBron, we praise KD, Boogie, or anybody else in the NBA or NFL. They can celebrate all they want. New Orleans wasn't necessarily obviously the biggest market team, but you let them celebrate. So why is it different for the Padres? Why is it different for San Diego? Why is it different for Atlanta? Why can't they celebrate? Because when they were winning, when Atlanta was in that great season in 2016, they were celebrating, no problem. But now that they were losing and now that they're starting to win again, it's a problem. So it's not about them winning. They just don't want them to have fun. That is just absolutely insane.
We folks are privileged to be joined now by our man, Big B, Brandon Herrera from Coast to Coast. Brandon, obviously you've been watching the show and obviously wanted to chime in about this exact subject. I know that you're in the same boat, being a Minnesota sports fan, and really the only team there is the Lynx, and they've won 4 WNBA championships. Of course, the Vikings were close. Twins haven't won since 1991. The Loons are kind of up and down right now in Major League Soccer. The Wild can't get out of the first round of the NHL postseason. But Brandon, give us your thoughts more so about seeing the remarks made by Molly Kieram, Stephen A. Smith, and also by Max Kellerman, basically throwing the entire cities of Milwaukee and Phoenix under the bus for being great finally, and hey, be quiet, no one cares.
Yeah, it's frustrating. I mean, I've heard, I just tuned in just a quick second, just got off of work and heard Isaiah talking about that. And, it's frustrating because, if you're going to just, talk about the big markets, of course, everybody's going to want to go there because that's where everybody's talking about. You're talking about the Lakers all the time. You're talking about Dallas, and name it. I mean, they're talking about them. The small market teams like, the guys here in Minnesota, Milwaukee, Cleveland. I mean, yeah, who's going to want to go there because they don't get the exposure? I mean, you guys are just nailing it all on the point. And John, your comparison to relationships and how it goes, it's right on. I mean, and having fun like the Padres. Sports are supposed to be fun, and you're supposed to build chemistry and friendships, and it all starts in high school up to college to the pros. And I mean, you guys are nailing it right on the head that, it's all about fun. Padres are having fun, they're winning, and people are getting upset about it. And I don't get why they are, but yeah, I mean, sports, sports networks like, you guys and then us at Coast to Coast, yeah, we focus on the, women's sports because nobody talks about them, the smaller market teams because nobody talks about them. We try to get them out there. So, yeah, I wish ESPN and all the bigger ones would start doing that too. Just, because why would people want to go to the smaller market teams if they're not going to get the exposure?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, folks, we had Haley Scamora from the USA Women's National Hockey Team join the Sports Lounge last Tuesday night here, and it was a great interview. If you folks haven't caught it, you can, of course, catch it via the podcast app or on Facebook. Guys, plenty of thoughts, though, from the MI6 faithful, though. First and foremost, as we already alluded to earlier, Casey King says ESPN media, for the most part, are a bunch of idiots. Christy Wilson further agrees that First Take needs to be canceled or just have those 3 idiots replaced. And I can name 3 individuals who can do a much better job on First Take. And she says, referencing me, John, and Isaiah. And also, Mr. Adam Barber also says, what's up, guys? Of course, Adam from Coast to Coast again. Brandon Herrera joining us here just to kind of come in here. John, I'll go back over to you, man, to add on one more topic or one more point on this topic.
It's funny because we talk about smart market teams, and one thing I don't get is, what if the Cardinals start winning next year? You got Kyler Murray, you got DeAndre Hopkins, you got Emmanuel Sanders, and J.J. Watt. And finally, they're talking about the defense because Chandler Jones, even though I talked about Chandler Jones for over a year, said he's the best underrated NFL defender for over a year. So I'm being consistent here. But the problem is, I don't know, it's small market teams, but at the same time, it's very confusing. Because once Arizona starts winning, they start celebrating. You got the swagger of Hopkins and Murray and Sanders. Then hardly anybody's criticizing them. So that's where it kind of fits this narrative. It's partly small market teams. On the other side, what are you trying to criticize? Because if Arizona's win next year in the NFL, nobody's have a problem. The Suns or the Bucks or Atlanta celebrating in the NBA, then they get criticized. That's where there's really not a fine line of what is or what is it? It's kind of like going to like that uniform school. Now you can't do this. You have to wear this uniform with this patch. I just don't understand where that fine line is. When is it okay to celebrate, or when it's not?
And I think, though, as well, fellas, that, Brandon said a great point, though, in regards, though, to I think all of us made great points, though. But again, at least for me, like I said, though, this has been brewing for a year because of seeing how the Padres were just trashed by every, fan base, basically, mainly more so the neighbors up in Los Angeles for the entire season last year. And then, of course, the Padres, I think, basically said, you know what? Screw it. And they break out the swag chain. I know that you've seen it, Brandon. I know Isaiah's seen it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, guys, that swag chain has been so popular here that people have either sold it out at the team store, they have made their own to bring into Petco Park. And I think it's been by far one of the greatest things ever done. And definitely getting Miami Hurricane football vibes with the turnover chain being in San Diego with the Padres and
well,
things
even
like
the
that.
even the Twins last year had every time somebody hit a home run, they come in and they would cover them with like a King's robe or something, for the bomb squad they called them. So I mean, they're trying to have fun, and people are just criticizing them.
And like I've said, though, Brandon, in a time, though, where baseball is at a crossroads, I'm still a bit leery that there might be a lockout in 2022. And, how do you not enjoy watching watching the Padres play or the Twins last season? We're in a day and age, like I said, though, we are in a day and age, John, Brandon, and Isaiah, where people are really turning away from baseball because the games are too long to watch. And, the All-Star game gets moved out of Atlanta, and this is going wrong. But like I said, though, this Padre team is why you want to go to games, especially here in San Diego. We've had, 7, home games since we went back to full capacity. They've won all 7, and the crowds have been probably their highest, I'd say, since 2005, 2006, even better. Probably their biggest since 98 when they went to the World Series. So again, I don't get the disrespect. It's total ignorance. And like John said, though, but shame, though, on First Take for those very appalling remarks made on Wednesday. And Christy Wilson says the Padres swag chain is the Padres version of the Rally Monkey up in Anaheim. Maybe. I mean, I'm a fan of the Rally Monkey because of Jump Around by House of Pain. I know it gives Isaiah in the Bay Area some very bad vibes from 2002, but I mean, I get Miami Hurricane vibes. I kind of get, Manny Machado putting his stamp on the ball club and things like that. But definitely, folks, again, we didn't mean for that to go like nearly half an hour. But again, like I said, this has been, building frustration for me and my ball club and my city because, we've been, basically disrespected because, oh, you guys, the Chargers left. Oh, how about the Clippers or, this and that's going on. And all of a sudden, hey, we're finally great. I haven't seen the Padres this great in 23 years. Cool, Callan. Shut up. No one cares about San Diego. Go Dodgers. Go Angels. Go A's. Go Giants. All this nonsense going on from, so many people out there and things of that nature. With that, though, guys, we'll move over.